Good morning to you. Welcome to my bit of heaven. This is where the Lord maketh me to lie down in green pastures and beside still waters, though you wouldn't possibly think of it being the place today. It's on the banks of the North Tyne, today in the wake of Storm Bella, though you wouldn't believe it today when the river is at full flood. There are times when this is an idyllic and peaceful place, as you're going to see in a moment. I welcome the members of Morpeth Methodist Church and anybody else that's looking at this video. Good morning to you.
The 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I have everything I need. He lets me rest in fields of green grass and leads me to quiet pools of fresh water. He gives me new strength. He guides me in the right paths as he has promised. Even if I go through the deepest darkness, I will not be afraid, Lord, for you are with me. Your shepherd's rod and staff protect me. You prepare a banquet for me, where all my enemies can see me. You welcome me as an honored guest and fill my cup to the brim. I know that your goodness and love will be with me all my life, and your house will be my home as long as I live.
For me, this river has become very important. But I have had not only this river, but the river where I was born, the River Cabra. And when I went as a child into care, it was another river. It was the Wad al-Kibir that runs through Cordoba. And when as a 7-year-old child I was brought to the northeast of England, another river, the River Tyne.
Psalm 137. By the rivers of Babylon we sat down. There we wept when we remembered Zion. On the willows nearby we hung up our harps. Those who captured us told us to sing. They told us to entertain them. Sing us a song about Zion. How can we sing a song to the Lord in a foreign land? May I never be able to play the harp again if I forget you, Jerusalem. May I never be able to sing again if I do not remember you.
I refer to these few hundred yards of fishing on the River North Tyne near Chollerford as my bit of heaven, because for more than 35 years I have leased the fishing rights to it and have distributed the cost of the fishing amongst a small group of others. I have been able to fish it without fear about costs and access, and it has become a private place, if I have wanted one, where I have been able to retreat to at every moment of my life. It is a spot that no matter what the season or whatever else is happening in the world, I can be on my own and in safety. Even this ramshackled hut that has seen so many better days is a dear spot now. Though initially I did a major reformation to it when I first acquired the fishing, it has not been possible to maintain it. Over the years, after the most severe of storms in the winter, I have wondered if it will be there upon my return in the spring. It has, albeit a bit more battered and bruised. It has survived as the place to shelter in the worst of storms. It has been buffeted and battered, but it has not yet been destroyed. I do not take for granted the privilege that I have in having this bit of fishing. It is real, and I feel it profoundly. And I do not take it for granted because, especially when I am alone, because it has a potential to change. It can become from a place of safety to a very dangerous place indeed, because it is by a river. As we enter 2021, I am confident that almost everyone will hope that it will be very different to 2020. Not least in that we can start to make a return to some kind of normality from the risk to health posed by the COVID-19 virus and the uncertainties of Brexit negotiations, the prospect of mass vaccination and the settlement of the deal with the European Union will, I hope, contribute to that. The two readings that Judith read for us today are well-known readings from the book of Psalms. It is the beauty of the book that because it was put together from so many sources covering a long period of history, it reflects so many human feelings and emotions. As such, the Psalms are a great source of comfort and for interpreting our feelings and emotions. The 23rd Psalm is a favourite of many, especially at times when they are in need of comfort and assurance. Psalm 137, on the other hand, will be well known to many who grew up in the 70s and 80s, like myself, for the well-known song by Boney M, by the Rivers of Babylon. But they're quite different and reflect the emotions of different human beings after they had passed through a long and bad period of exile and were able to celebrate their return to the temple again. One in one way, the other in another. Somewhat like we hope for 2021. That sometime soon everything will get back to normal and we will be able to get back to church again. I personally am not so sure about that. My hope is that the experience of 2020 and 2021 will change and reform our faith and our attitude to church. That we are enriched by the experience and be able to return and find a new and more relevant way of expressing and sharing our faith in the world. One of the greatest figures of British history is a woman called Elizabeth Fry, who lived from 1780 to 1845. She was an English prison, social reformer, and philanthropist. Many of her ideas were underpinned by her beliefs as a Christian Quaker. She was known as the Angel of the Prison. Fry spent time in prison to try and understand what the experience was like. And because of her work, new legislation was passed to treat prisoners more humanely. Her legacy lived on way beyond her death until today, in the prisons that we have today. From 2002 until 2017, she was one of the images that appeared on the £5 note. Prisons are a long way from what they used to be in her time. But no one will deny that prisons are a place of reformation altogether. There is still much that needs to take place. For many who end up in prison, prison is not about reformation from a life of crime, but about reinforcing them in their criminal ways and activities. In lockdown, in exile, in captivity of some sort, we are confronted with our feelings and emotions in a way that makes them hard to avoid. The COVID pandemic has led to a worsening in many people's state of health of mind and well-being. But it has also led to some incredible acts of achievement, of support and care for each other, of neighbourliness. The consequences of nearly 500 years of exile was the Psalms. In the 23rd, we find a tremendous affirmation Surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever, we have become accustomed to hearing. And that those words may well have been composed by a people that had come through the exile far stronger and better, more assured and more confident. As I prepared this reflection, I was struck also by the way that Psalm 137 is quite different. By the rivers of Babylon, there we sat down, there we wept when we remembered Zion, are melancholic words. It's a melancholic way that changes into a profound sadness. How can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? And this sadness goes on to change into what I see as anger and bitterness in the prayer that it concludes with. In these two psalms, I see both a people that has been transformed through exile, lockdown, or captivity of some kind, and a people whose experience has only made them more entrenched in their attitudes to their religion and their hostility to others. In one, we see the hope of someone like Elizabeth Fry, and I believe everything that the gospel is about. In the other, we see, like my beloved and ramshackled hut by the side of the river, something that another storm has beaten and battered. Everything that the gospel is about. In the other, we see, like my beloved and ramshackled hut by the side of the river, something that another storm has beaten and battered. It has not yet quite destroyed it, but it has not changed it. Today, I pray that God will make us hold on, shape, reform, will make us stronger as individuals and as a church. I wish you a happy new year. Oh, and by the way, in case you wonder what the fishing is actually like, here is a very short video that I made earlier this year. Hello there, this is fishing. After lunch, I sat down by the river, lay down by the river, and fell asleep, and dreamt about catching the biggest fish ever. I just did. I'll go back and catch another one. Thank you for joining us this day. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace.